So, all right. So, correct me if I'm wrong. So, being an elite softball player, being an elite baseball player, elite at anything, you have to do those little things, right?
Mhm.
Vision training, it doesn't seem all that small, but it's considered a smaller in the that smaller category of things that you need to do to
Mhm.
become really, really good
Mhm.
as a really, really good hitter. Okay. So, my question for you, I guess, when it comes to vision training, when do you start? What age do you start incorporating this? Right?
Yeah, you know what? This is one of those things that's like, it's kind of neat and it's really interesting.
Hmm.
And I don't find it to be a necessity because I also like early on, I don't, I really think you might hurt a young hitter by trying to get them to think about this. You really need a hitter who's like mature enough, but also is like craving something new and fun to do with their in practice, let's say.
Hmm.
Because you have a little bit, you can have an older athlete that's a little burnt out and feeling a little overwhelmed by the work they're doing. And then you're like, oh, hey, by the way, do this weird thing with your eyes.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Do some eye breathing. What?
yeah, you know, I have like a 13-year-old hitter who's like really into training, really into practice, craves the fun of it, watches college softball all the time. And this is just a discussion. And we don't do something super intense, but we say, okay, start with your eyes over there, relax, relax, relax. Okay, now lock back in. And now I throw your front toss. Like, so maybe that's how you just introduce it slowly. And then I have, you know, a 16-year-old hitter who is getting invited to big time camps and things like that. And that's when we can, now I'm like really trying to challenge. I'm teaching this to her. She's training with it. And then I'm trying to really challenge her with it. So because she's intrigued, because she's at that high level, I can, it's the same thing when you introduce a physical thing. You know, you want to challenge and make it hard, but if they're like intrigued by this, they're not going to get super frustrated by it.
Yeah. So I think the first thing you could do, I mean, it's more, I say, I think I'm asking you, I'm not an expert in this field, but I'm asking you with first players should learn at 13, for example, I'll use that because you use that example. When you're 13 years old, shouldn't you learn how to players should learn how to breathe and slow down their heart rate first, so then they can actually go on to the vision part and slowing down
Sure.
their focus, right?
100%. Yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's another thing too. You get athletes who are like typically calm and confident. You'll notice that
Hmm.
relaxed breathing comes very naturally to them. And if you start to bring awareness to it, it's almost like they start thinking about breathing, right?
Right.
Have you ever,
Right. And you
done that to
overthink
yourself?
it. And
Yeah.
you overdo it, right?
Right. So that's why, like at younger ages, you just want to tread carefully. You want to like, yes, you want to have fun with hitters, and you want to introduce like these new interesting concepts, and then also too, like I'm probably talking to a lot of people who do private lessons. You want to sell yourself. How many people talk about breathing and eyes and all that as a coach? So yeah, you want to look like you're doing something different than every other coach, but you don't want to do that necessarily at the expense of the hitter now being so hyper aware of what's going on in their body and with their nose and their diaphragm and their eyeballs that, you know, if we do have a hyper aware athlete, maybe we do need to kind of remove focus internally before we come back to it with more advanced stuff like this.
So, all right. So let me ask you this. When it comes to certain drills, without giving too much away here, we don't want to give too much free stuff away. What kind of drills would you do with your hitters? What kind of drills would you prescribe them when it comes to the vision training?
Yeah, you know, it's more, you could take any drill, most drills at least, and then add some visual components to it. So let's say you're hitting off a tee. Some people think you can't do stuff of a tee, but in actuality, one of the best things is to actually just get checked in when you're hitting off a tee. So you get into your normal stance, you get into your normal rhythm, and as you're about to hit and you load, because so many times people want to load and then put their head straight down on the ball. Like we're not emulating what we're actually doing in a game. When we load in a game, our eyes are still on the pitcher. And now we're actually just going to contact, and our head really shouldn't move that much. It's really our eyes that are pretend tracking a ball. So you're adding a little visualization component. You're having them get checked in. That's like the simplest physical component of it. So eyes checked into a pitcher and trying to emulate what it looks like in an actual game setting. You could, if you have the cage and the tees for it, maybe you set up 3 or 4 tees in a row, not because you're trying to hit your tee into the next one, but because you're trying to emulate, okay, this is the pitch path, and the hitter again is looking forward and they go far tee, close tee, close tee, close tee, and then they hit there. So they're just working on their eyes tracking along a line of tees with balls on them. Next from there, probably one of the most advanced drills I'll do is I'll throw an even spin I wish I had a softball next to me, but for anyone listening, I'll just hold it as if I'm holding like a 4-seam, let's say, like across the seams, right? So hold it like across the seams, and I'm throwing that into the pitcher, and I'm like, or excuse me, to the hitter. I'm saying, okay, this is like an even spin, and this is the one you want to crush. And they're watching it. They're like, okay, good. And then I'll spin it differently, and I say, this is an odd spin. You're going to take this just for this drill. And we'll do that where they hit even, take odd. And then we switch it up where they hit the odd and take the even. And what we start to work on is so much of our visual acuity leads to our mental clarity, and kind of vice versa. So when our mental clarity, if we're saying to ourselves in that drill, okay, I'm going to hit the even spin and then I'm going to take the odd spin. That's too many decisions. That's like saying I'm going to hit the strike and I'm going to also take the ball. You make one decision at the plate, and it's the decision to take, right? Because the decision to swing is already on. It's yes, yes, yes. I'm crushing. You see odd. Nope, that's not what I want. So you're forcing yourself to kind of just almost like you're putting it like a screen over a projector, or like a slide in, where it's like, this is the slide, even spin. And anything that doesn't align with that, that's not what you want. So you're just training your brain and your vision to be perfectly in sync with like this spin. It's not necessarily working on curveball spin or screwball spin. It's just training that aspect of our pathway. You will start to find hitters have to like really focus on a ball, because you don't need extreme focus to hit a lobbed in front toss. But when I do that drill, they're like, oh crap. Okay. Yep. I got it. Let me get my game like focus in now.